Megan and I both woke up to the first plane hitting the building. And I was like, that did sound like a bomb. So we opened the blinds, looked around on the ground, and then I looked up.
Oh my God! There's like, what is that floating in the air?
My initial instinct was, it looked exactly like when there was like a parade for the Yankees and there's confetti everywhere.
No way. What is that, like paper or like pieces of the building? Like paper.
So that was my like immediate instinct, and then it, then I thought,
I've been working as a New York cameraman for 25 years. I was doing a small project about Diane Sawyer in Times Square, and I was taking a wide shot of the Good Morning America studio, and right there on the Jumbotron screen was a shot of the World Trade Center on fire.
What?
I didn't know exactly what was happening at first, but I just thought to myself, my job is really to document things, and there were no other camera crews in Times Square. It never once occurred to me to go anywhere else except to be there. I had a perfectly good story right there.
Huh? I don't know, I can't see. Boom, it blew up right in the middle of the building.
Since I didn't have direct shots of a building or anything like that, what I had was people just in complete shock and disbelief watching September 11th happen in the middle of Manhattan, and it was happening just, a couple miles away.
This is not something small. This is huge. And my first impulse was, I got to get out there. When I first got out on the footbridge, I didn't know exactly what was happening. To me, things seemed eerily calm. All the traffic was stopped, but people were just walking down the street. My first thought coming out was that I just need to get to a vantage point where I can see what's happening.
What is that falling? Is it a person?
Where?
I'm falling.
For me at least, I think there's like this level of denial.
Where? Where?
I think it's because my mind doesn't let myself go that dark, and it's sort of a defense mechanism in a way.
Oh my God. No way. Yeah, I see it. I mean, who's to say it's not in the chair?
So even up until that point, I didn't realize that I was actually videotaping people jumping out of the building. So.
There are fire crews just screaming into this area from every conceivable
I came across a guy leaning against the hood of a car, listening to the radio because you heard these first reports come in.
And just this entire area of Lower Manhattan is going to need to be avoided.
Suddenly, on the left side of my viewfinder, I saw something coming from behind the building.
When the second plane hit, I thought it was a mistake. Megan, I think, came to the realization before me that it was terrorists.
I'm so scared. I'm waiting. I'm scared. Wait for me.
I didn't discover that a second plane had hit until I got into the elevator. And it was only then that we all kind of realized, this doesn't sound like an accident anymore.
This is terrorism. Do you think? I did going up in the elevator.
I did.
The two planes, one right up. There were two? Another one just hit it. Yeah. I did not know that. There's another aircraft hitting.
Was it British Airways?
It was a commercial airline.
Yeah, I saw that one. But a second one hit too.
It was British Airways. Hit the second one right in the middle.
There was a lot of disinformation that was going around by word of mouth by frightened, panicked people on the streets.
And now I hear somebody said in the news that they said they're going to do it every half hour. So they should start playing into this thing every half hour. Isn't it that enough?
Nobody has any straight information. We don't know what's going on. Nobody's phones will work. All those cell phone lines on the street are all jammed up. So you just kind of, I see what I see, but but that's really the only thing I know.
It was like a combat zone down there. There was paper and dust and sirens, and there were injured people. Things were falling out of the buildings. Police cars and ambulances driving up on sidewalks. It was hellish to look out the window and see the stark difference between the previous day and this day, and how everything and everyone just changed.
I saw the firemen arriving at the scene just like I saw other emergency response vehicles. You see on some of their faces when they're walking by camera and just looking up, and I can just imagine what's going through their heads. Like, I'm standing here with like a 25-foot piece of hose and a fire extinguisher, and I'm looking up at this 100-story, 110-story building on fire. What am I going to possibly do here?
Looking at the buildings, I found that the connection I made was with people. You know, these poor people that were just basically hanging off the building at that point.
I see a person waving a flag. Oh no, there's another guy up there hanging. What are you doing, man? Oh my God.
And then that followed.
Oh, he fell out. Oh, he fell out. The guy with the flag. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's not something you want to capture on film. And fortunately, I had a wide-angle lens on the camera, so that sort of pushed it further away, so the connection wasn't so immediate.
I always have a camera on me, always. It was how I probably emotionally dealt with the trauma, because I was like, I had a mission. But my boyfriend, who was just really kind of with me, wasn't actually having the act of documenting. He had some emotional issues, but I kind of didn't, because I had an objective and I had a mission, and maybe I had this, you know, I had this thing between me and this situation.
It's unbelievable.
I felt detached from this horrible event because I was seeing it through a viewfinder. And in a way, it actually made me braver. And I ended up walking closer to the buildings, and that probably wasn't a good place to be.
I'm on Broadway in DC. There were hundreds of sirens going off, and it was very loud, and it was very scary. And I'm zooming in, and at that moment, I'm looking through the viewfinder. Everything looks surreal. It moved. It literally leaned a little bit. And then I saw it just crumble down like sand. It just came straight down like a sand castle.
It sounded like some sort of horrible wail of metal and glass, and it's indescribable, but it was an enormous sound.
Shooting, and the sound that it was a building falling never crossed my mind. And as soon as the building hit, it was like a small earthquake, and I was thrown backwards off my feet, like 5 foot back into my apartment. I was thrown, and I got up, and I run back to the window, and I'm just shooting, and people are crouching under, looking and crouching under cars, and